Stop, take a moment, a break from all the crazy of this week. The week in the run up to Christmas, all the running around, the to-do list, the stress of it all. If you're looking for just a much more relaxed and joy-filled Christmas this year, then you've still got time, and I'm here to reveal the secret to exactly that. Hi, I'm Lynn. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. It's a space where those of us in this retired-ish season of life get to come together and create a little community. My content focuses on the season that you're in, whether that's metaphorically, the season of life that you're in, or physically, whether it is spring, summer, autumn, winter. I love to do seasonal decorating, so we have a lot of that on the channel. I love to travel, so I share that with you too. And just some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way that will hopefully inspire you to really get the most out of life and just generally have a bit more of a balanced, intentional, joy-filled time of it. In this video, I'm going to be giving you permission. No, I'd go as far as to say I'm insisting that you take a pause, take a break, go make yourself a cozy cuppa and just take 5 to just sit down with me and just have a think about this. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Lynn, I don't even have time to make a cup of tea, far less sit down and watch this video. But if that is you, then that is exactly why you need exactly this video. So come on, grab a cozy drink, sit down and let's chat. And if I'm being honest, I need this video as much as you. I'm not claiming to be the expert here. I'm just sharing some hints and tips, and all leads to, as I say, this one secret ingredient to just creating that really relaxed, peaceful Christmas that I bet you're craving. So it's as much for me as it is for you. I've got a giant to-do list as well, and don't be fooled just because I've created a whole series of kind of Christmas planning videos and shared my Christmas decor and things like that. I am not in any way, shape or form perfect in this subject matter at all, but I have over the years learned a few things, and this one major thing in particular that I think we could all benefit from knowing, reminding ourselves of. So yeah, come on, let's just spend a little bit of time together and just share these thoughts. So let's start with a question. When you and your family get together and start reminiscing about Christmases past, what comes up for you? What are the things that come up when someone says, oh, do you remember the Christmas when? Or, oh, do you remember the time that? I know that for me and my family, it tends to be the retelling of the stories when things just didn't go according to plan. For example, I remember, we always used to talk about the Christmas where my dad worked away abroad. He didn't work abroad all the time, just this one particular year, he got some sort of secondment or something to work abroad. And I was young, maybe only about 7, 8, something like that. And my mum was left with my sister and I to try to get Christmas organised. Now, mums are generally the most involved. It's generally down to the mums, but things like getting the Christmas tree and putting the Christmas tree up, in those days it was always a real tree. Dad was very much involved in that, and we used to talk about the time when we went to buy the tree at a local, must have been like a sort of greengrocer's shop, and it was probably a good 1.5 miles from our home. It was snowing. We literally half carried, half dragged this tree home. No car. We didn't. Dad had a car. He drove. Mum didn't drive. No access to car. We literally dragged this tree home. Mum did her best. We got the tree up. Somehow got the wooden blocks, and I think it was an old biscuit tin that we used to use. No fancy tree stands in those days. Really showing my age now. And we got the hammer out and we banged the blocks in, and well, we got that Christmas tree up. Mum and probably a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. But we got there. It wasn't what we really, it didn't go particularly according to plan. Normally Dad would have been there. but we made the most of it. And then I seem to remember Dad came home from that trip and spent the whole 2 weeks of Christmas in bed with flu. So that's one story that we always retell. Another year, our youngest son was probably about 3, woke up on Christmas morning, had a raging temperature, jumped into bed with us, to see if Santa, before it was seeing if Santa had been, promptly threw up over the entire bed and really spent the whole day pretty miserably down with some sort of virus. But these are the stories that stick in our minds. And I suppose where I'm going with this is the common thread here is that these are the years and the Christmases when it didn't all go according to plan. It didn't all go perfectly. I'm sure there's tales of, do you remember, in families, do you remember when the turkey burned? Do you remember when the pudding was a complete disaster? These are the things that stick in our mind. And so it's these imperfect Christmases that we often remember with the greatest fondness. It's so easy to get caught up in this pursuit of perfection, the endless to-do list to just get it exactly right, that by the time you sit down and relax to enjoy it all, the party is well and truly over. Look, the last thing I want is for this video to come over as if I've got all the answers. Like I say, I haven't, but I have come across this one big thing, this kind of overarching thing that impacts everything. If you can change this one thing, then it just makes all the difference. But first of all, let's just look at a few practical things that you can really do starting from right now over these next few days leading up to Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, for us in the UK, Boxing Day, right through, and for New Year, for the New Year holidays too, that I believe will really, really help. And the first thing on that list is to think about what your priorities are, what really, really matters to you. And it could look like something like, maybe you've had just a really incredibly busy year, and the most important thing for you is rest and relaxation over these holidays. Above everything else, you just need to take time out to recharge. Your ideal Christmas might look like just putting your feet up, watching some Christmas films, listening to some music, reading a book, being able to take time out and do something like complete a jigsaw puzzle, something that you just never ever get time to do in your sort of everyday life. And that is the priority for you. And so it then becomes very easy if you get a kind of last minute invitation to go to neighbours for drinks, or, somebody calls you up and says, "Oh, are you going to be free? We'll drop in." If you've prioritized, if you've really clearly thought, this is my priority, it makes those decisions about these things very, very easy. If you haven't stopped to think about what your priority is, then before you know it, you'll be saying yes, to everything that just doesn't align with what your priority is. Maybe when you stop and think about it, you realise that your priority for this Christmas week, Christmas holiday season, is really to connect with family and friends and spend time with them. And so it makes it very easy, if you've arranged, say, a coffee catch up with a friend and your to-do list is just huge, and you're considering, oh, maybe I should put that off and cancel it. We can catch up in the new year. But you've maybe got, I don't know, like home baking on your list to do that day. If you've actually stopped and thought about what your priority is or priorities are for this week and beyond, and you've already decided that it's catching up with family and friends and making those connections, then it makes the decision to keep that coffee catch up with the friend and ditch the baking and just pick up some store-bought stuff on the way home. It makes it a really, really easy decision, and it's very clear to you what your priority should be and what you should be saying yes to, what you should and shouldn't be cancelling. So I think just giving some thought to what your priorities are makes the whole decision making over Christmas, really, really easy. It also makes it really easy to decide what should stay on your to-do list and what you can just score off, because you can score off all the things that just don't align with your priorities and you can just let them go. The next kind of practical thing that we can do right now today is to set our expectations. I think we're all absolutely bombarded with depictions of the perfect Christmas. Images, whether it's TV adverts, whether it's the magazines that we're kind of reading just now, from all sources, social media, this these pictures of the perfect Christmas. And I think probably in my earlier, younger married days with young kids and things, I completely would get swept up into all of that and would just exhaust myself trying to create that perfect Christmas. And what I've realized over the years is that I'm not saying that we shouldn't have those images around, because in certain circumstances they can really inspire us. There's nothing, lovelier than flicking through a Christmas cooking magazine and seeing all these amazing recipes. And what it doesn't mean though is that, it doesn't mean you have to try them all and achieve them all, but you can pick out one or two that you think, I'm going to try that. But in setting your expectations, what you also have to set is, you have to be okay with it not turning out perfectly. And that's just all part of the process. Similarly, I love to share sort of inspiration for decorating and things like that on here. But it's really just to give you inspiration. And I think that's what's the important part of setting expectations is, it's okay to have those images around, but don't expect that yours is going to turn out exactly like that. If it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, well, you decide, are you going to tweak some things and give it a go later or next year or whenever. But yeah, that's the important thing, is be okay if it doesn't go according to plan. And you've got to be flexible, setting your expectations around how Christmas Day is going to go, for example. And I think this is particularly important if you've got littles or older people in your family setup. We've all probably been there at our age. You've probably been around little ones that just throw a massive wobbly right in the middle of the Christmas, celebrations. Or for us, this year with my dad has dementia, and we're hoping that he will join us on Christmas Day. We're going to make every attempt, to have him here on Christmas Day. But you know what? On the day itself, if that is not something that he can deal with, or he just doesn't want it to happen and doesn't want to come, I have to be okay with that. I have to be flexible enough in my plans to kind of go, right, okay, that's fine. And we'll just deal with it. So flexibility, expectations, that's something that you can have some thought about beforehand. And yeah, just be okay with however anything turns out. The next thing we can start to do right now today is to practice a bit of mindfulness. And I know we hear this term bandied about as if it's the answer to everything, but just hear me out. Just stopping and really, really being in the moment, whether it is sitting down to watch a Christmas movie, or just sitting chatting with friends, or even just staring out the window watching the birds in the garden. If we can just focus on that thing that we are doing in that moment, then it really can make such a difference. What you're doing is you're really focusing on the pleasure that you're experiencing in that moment, and that can really help to alleviate the stress and the anxiety around something that's happening, or something that happened in the past, or something that you're worried about that might be happening in the future. And it really does anchor you just in that present moment. And mindfulness has been, one of the things that has been shown clearly to reduce stress. Being in the moment with our family and friends is vital to really kind of foster those good relationships with people and really help to boost that connection. And without a doubt, it's been shown to have lots of added benefits, like lowering your blood pressure, helping to improve your sleep. And I really believe that if you can punctuate your day, especially in these days leading up to Christmas and over the Christmas holidays, if you can punctuate these days, regularly with little moments of mindfulness, then it really can lead to a much more balanced and fulfilled and peaceful existence. The next kind of practical thing that I think we can absolutely start to do, even if we haven't done it at all for the whole of the holiday season so far, you can start today, and that is to create some boundaries. And this kind of goes back to the first point about, working out what is important to you and what your priorities are. And I think that it's very easy for me to sit here and say, oh, just only do the things that you want to do. Just say no to everything else. But of course you can't. We all have things that we'd probably rather not be doing, but we know that for whatever reason, it's the right thing to do, and we're doing it for, all the right reasons. It might just be because it's really important to somebody else, and that person is important to us. So there are things that clearly, we have to do that we don't really want to do. But around that, I would say once you've made the decision, then be okay with it. Just make that decision that you're going to do it, and then just go into it with as much kind of enthusiasm as you can. And of course, setting boundaries doesn't just mean about, sort of doing things that you don't want to do, or saying no to things that you don't want to do. There's lots of other ways that you can be setting boundaries. It might be that for you, you're setting boundaries around a work situation. You might be able to make it very clear that you're not going to be checking emails at least for kind of 48 hours over the holiday period, because you want to be kind of spending that time with family and friends. Or you may be able to make it quite clear to an employer that unfortunately you're not going to be available to pick up any shifts, any extra shifts at work, because you just need to have some time with your family. It might be that for you, creating boundaries is around getting enough sleep. Maybe you're going to say to yourself, right, I will be in bed by a certain time. Maybe when you're over the holidays, you've got a tendency to stay up really, really late, and that's not good for you. So it might be around that. Another thing might be that you create boundaries for yourself around your eating habits. It can get very off track at this time of year, and I'm absolutely not saying don't indulge, but I think for me, I'm going to have some days where I'm going to say, right, I'm not going to indulge today, or some alcohol-free days, or that type of thing. But it's just having a little think now about these coming days and the week, right over the holidays, what your boundaries are going to be. Number 5 on this list of kind of easy practical things that you can do as we work up towards the bigger secret of a really relaxed and joy-filled Christmas. And that is to adopt the KISS principle. And by that, I mean KISS, which stands for keep it simple, stupid. Now, I think most of us have probably heard of this principle. It's a design principle that I believe we have the Americans to thank for, so thank you for this one. But I say it to myself all the time, and I think it is especially important this week, and we probably find ourselves making things way more complicated than they need to be in these last few days, in the run up to Christmas. We overcomplicate the gifts that we haven't bought yet, the ones that you still have to complete. There's probably some element of overcomplication here. You've overthought what you're going to get somebody, when something just simple and practical will probably work absolutely fine. Maybe for you overcomplicate what your Christmas meal, your main meal menus are going to be. I found myself just the other day doing this. We were trying to work out what we were going to have for our appetizer, and my husband made a suggestion, and I went, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. That is the obvious, simple answer, and that's what we're going to go with. There's lots of things that we overthink and overcomplicate at this time of year. Maybe you had over-the-top decor plans that you just still haven't got round to, and you're now stressing because you've got decorating that you still want to do. You've probably got your tree up, and you've probably got enough decorations up. But I know for me, this was my kind of door side planters I bought canes and wire, and I was going to make additional kind of ornaments, adornments to poke in them. And well, that ain't happening. I mean, I can just tell you now that we have had the most horrific winds here. We've had 50, 60-mile-an-hour gusts that are going on all week, right through till Sunday. So no, I'm not going there. And you know what? By this stage, if I probably wouldn't have done it anyway, it's like I haven't done it so far, and so I'm just calling time on it. Now, that's not to say that I might not do it next year, and I'm not saying for a minute that it was wrong to have that thought or have that goal to do it. But there comes a point, less than a week to go before Christmas, where you're just overcomplicating, overthinking. So, yeah, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. So, what is this secret that I've been talking about? This one thing that is going to change everything and give you just a much more relaxed and joy filled Christmas? Well, it's not some sort of magic planning sheet or planning spreadsheet or planning planner or anything like that. It's not hiring a private chef, though that would be nice. No, it's just simply shifting your mindset. And that's what all of these little practical tips kind of have been. They just all lead to being able to shift your mindset and the way that you think about this coming week and how you're going to be over the holidays. Our mindset just plays such a crucial role in how we experience things. And just being able to shift that mindset really can just make all the difference between experiencing a period of time as a really stressful event to really being able to feel that joy, just relax and just really embrace the Christmas season. When we change the way we think about the holidays, we really can just open ourselves up to a whole world of possibilities. Instead of kind of viewing this time as just a whole series of obligations and task lists and things that need to be done, then we can really make that shift towards just being able to thoroughly enjoy it as just a relaxed time that we can spend with family and friends and making new connections. And this shift can really just make a whole difference to the way that we experience things. And it can make a huge difference to those around us too. Obviously, if we are just experiencing and enjoying the season a lot more, then those that we're spending it with are going to feel that too, because there is nothing worse than spending your Christmas season with somebody who is just totally stressed out and exhausted versus spending it with somebody who is just right there with them, thoroughly enjoying the Christmas season too. And so you might just be sitting there thinking, well, that's all well and good, Lynn, but how am I supposed to make this change quickly enough to really have an impact on, this short space of time that's left between now and Christmas? And I know that sometimes when you have got into a bit of a kind of stressed state or a bit of a negative headspace, then it can really feel like you are trying to turn around an oil tanker that clearly takes a long, long time to make that shift. But it doesn't have to be like that. There are a few things that you can do that will have a pretty quick impact on your thinking. And the first thing is gratitude. And I know this is a term that, again, we seem to hear banded about, but that's because it really does make a difference. If you can just take a couple of minutes every day, think about what you're grateful for that day, it really can make a big, big difference in your thinking and just reduce that stress and just turn that sort of stressful thinking into one of appreciation. Really does make a big difference. The next thing that I'm going to suggest is to visualize what a successful Christmas looks like for you. And I know that might sound a little bit woo-woo, but honestly, it does help. It really, really does make a difference. Just creating those mental pictures in your mind of how things are going to go. And it does. It's one of the quickest ways that you can shift your mindset. And this mental imagery really can set a positive tone for the days ahead. Next thing I would suggest that can make an immediate difference is to just listen to a relaxed playlist of music in the background with whatever tasks you're doing. There's a time and a place for Mariah Carey, and this ain't it. I would suggest if you've got something like Spotify or Apple Music or any of these streaming platforms, is just do a search for something like peaceful Christmas piano music. I don't know what it is. Piano music, particularly for me, I always find relaxing. I think I know why. My dad played piano, and as a little girl, I would lie in bed listening to him play piano downstairs. So I think that has to be it. But it just makes the sound of piano just makes me feel safe, warm, relaxed. So yeah, I think that must be it. So if I need to really relax, I will put piano music on. So Christmas piano music, or maybe for you it might be like Christmas cafe jazz, or maybe if going to the spa is a really relaxing thing that you love to do, then put in the search Christmas spa music, anything like that. I mean, listening to relaxing music, it literally changes the chemistry in your brain. It like releases the neurotransmitters in your brain, releases things like dopamine, which really can put you into that kind of relaxed state. So yeah, Christmas playlists, definitely something that you can do right now to just lower the stress and help you switch that mindset. You can change your mindset much more easily when you're in a relaxed state. So, what are your top tips for leaning into the joy of the season and really being able to, launch ourselves into these final few days before Christmas with a lot more Christmas spirit and a lot less stress? So, what do you do to help? Please do share them in the comments below. It's great because I love the fact that in this community we can all, read them and learn something from them too. So yeah, please do drop your comments below. And so I really do hope that I have inspired you to be able to think about these kind of next few days in the run up to Christmas differently. And of course, these techniques they're not exclusively for Christmas. You can apply them, at absolutely any time of year. So I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.